Recently, there was an incident with Spider-Man.
What man?
Spider-Man. He has the powers of a spider.
Gross. Does he look like a spider?
No, more like a man.
Climbs walls, shoots webs.
Yeah, bingo.
Out of his butt?
No.
Oh.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Honestly, I hope not.
Hello and welcome back to A Stark Contrast, where we discuss the differences and similarities from Marvel Comics to their MCU counterparts. And we are your hosts, Geoffrey
and Dai.
Hello, and welcome back.
And welcome back, Jeff.
Yes. Welcome. We are freezing.
We're freezing. California is cold.
It's
for
very
California.
cold, and I love
the cold.
I've been seeing my temperature in my car whenever I'm driving. I'm like 45,
Yeah.
48,
Yeah.
50, 55, and I'm
All
like,
the East Coasters are like,
I know, and I'm like, yes.
But yeah, I saw a funny post on Instagram the other day, and it was like, you just need to understand, California cold is 30 degrees colder than the coldest on the other side of the nation. I was like, yeah, actually.
Yeah, I texted Sam this the other day. I was like, because we had just gone to Denver, and we went to Denver. It was cold.
Yeah.
It was like 20 degrees at night. Mm-hmm. You know, like it was cold, but it's like, oh, you know, we're chilling. We're still fine. Then I texted her. I was like, is it colder in California than it is like cold in Denver?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, it's like it feels way colder
weird, right?
here.
Yeah.
It feels way colder here. And I'm like, I would agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously 20 degrees is obviously colder.
Yeah.
But when it's cold in California, it's like, holy crap.
There's something about it.
I love it.
I'm all
So I love
for it.
seeing people that are like complaining, like, oh my God, it's so cold. I'm like, you better.
There's this thing called winter.
Yeah. I mean, I get to wear hoodies. I get to wear sweats.
Who doesn't
I get to
want
wear a beanie.
I agree. Yeah.
I get to wear
love
gloves. Cozy socks.
Cozy socks,
Yeah.
man. All the things.
But yeah.
Cozy slippers, like I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We are back.
I'm all for the hoodie life. Yeah, we're back. We are out of the colder climates of the East Coast. I'm still dealing with some nasal sinus
Oh, that's
pressure.
right. Was that? Yeah.
Yeah, that was during our last episode. Columbus was great, thanks to the GalaxyCon and Cadence Comic Art crew.
Woo.
Oh, you know what? I wanted to kind of start this episode, or at least this segment. A good friend of mine, Cass, gave me the Marvel Funko Advent Calendar.
I see.
Yes, and they're on the thing over there, the console.
Oh, you're by day. You're
by the
taking
day,
them out.
yes. And so I reserved 2 days for us to open. And so 13 and 14 respectively, as we're recording. So
we are going to do this.
Would you like to open
Screw
one,
it.
sir?
We do it live.
So pick your number.
13
13 or 14, yeah.
Lucky number 13.
Hey ho, Taylor Swift.
Oh, shoot. My thumb opened, but I won't look at it.
It's in a plastic bag.
Okay.
You know, they're not very earth conscious.
Not even that. I can't. I got big fingers. There you go.
There you go.
Who did I
Give me that box back.
get?
Yeah, who is it?
Hold on. I have to go off mic.
Yeah, so thanks again, Cass, for this fun thing. I forgot all about the Advent calendar thing, right? I was like, oh yeah, this is a thing. Who did you get?
Oh!
Who is it? Is
it the same?
There are variants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got another version of Christmas Groot.
Oh, he's a baby Groot.
Baby Groot.
Christmas tree. I don't
He
know.
has-
Maybe. Is
Oh,
it a
no.
different present? Maybe.
This looks like a brighter star than that
maybe.
one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then I have here
Oh my God, what is that?
glittery gingerbread Captain Marvel.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that cool? They have a gingerbread line. It's really cute.
Almost looks like she has French fries on the top of her head.
This is the Captain McDonald. Oh yeah, she's got a stand and everything. So it's about halfway through the calendar, and I'll have a full set of lovely little mini Marvels by the end of the month. Yeah, so that's fun. Thanks, Cass. In Marvel news, Did you hear that Iron Man the film is officially in the Library of Congress National Film Registry?
I think I saw that in passing today on Twitter.
So I guess the film registry itself adds films every year to their library.
Yeah.
It's everything
like
that I just
iconic
said.
movies that like is it like movies that like mean so much in pop culture, I'm assuming?
I believe so, because the other films that went into the vault, if you will, with Iron Man were Carrie, the original, The Little Mermaid, and When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, I love The Little Mermaid so much.
I feel like people would never know that about you, and I love that.
Oh, you don't even know.
Oh, yeah.
I know those. I know that. I sing that. I sing that song.
Are you super excited for the
Hell yeah!
yeah.
Oh my
Haley
god!
Bailey. Yeah.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat?
Wouldn't you
Hell
think
yeah!
My collection's complete. Oh yeah.
Wouldn't you think I'm the girl
The girl
who has everything?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, I've watched the sing along on Disney Plus of that movie.
It
100%.
is truly one of the best. Though.
It's so good.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I used to borrow the soundtrack from my cousin, and I just like wear it out. But yeah, the Iron Man. Very
Makes
first,
sense.
the one that kicked it all off is
that makes
officially in the
sense.
vault. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
that's pretty freaking iconic. So that's awesome. But in slightly bigger news, so we had some trailer drops.
Yes.
We had the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer.
Oh my god, I feel like that happened before.
I know.
Oh no,
It did it.
It literally, we recorded our episode and then
it dropped. We had some charm timing with
oh
that
my
one.
gosh.
So I don't know. Should we quickly talk about that?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Into the Spider-Verse
Okay.
real quick.
Yeah, which is the other trailer that just dropped this week as well.
Insane.
It's wild.
My mind still can't comprehend how much
Yeah.
Spideys are gonna be in there.
Jeff was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe how many Spider-Men there are." I was like, "There are hundreds more."
That's why I'm glad there's people on the internet
Yeah.
who do the work for lazy people like me and don't have to go frame by frame on the
Right.
trailer and be like, oh, that's what that was. Sick.
Like that carousel I sent you today.
Yeah.
With like, I told Jeff the day it dropped, I was like, or yesterday rather, I was like, yeah, here are all the ones that are in that 4 seconds. And he was like, oh my God, there's so many. I was like, and it's only been 4 hours. wait till the end of the weekend. You'll know at least like 100 of them. And literally today, somebody identified at least 20 or 30 that are in that tiny, tiny clip.
That's so insane.
Which is so wild. But yeah. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, I saw Insomniac Spider-Man is there.
Yes, he is.
Holy crap.
And MCU, apparently.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And so.
And my favorite's there. Well, one of two of my favorites. Well, yeah, he's the favorite, but he just had clothes on. Bombastic Bagman.
I was just going to bring him up. Yes.
I love
Hilarious.
Bombastic Bagman. Oh, so good. And of course a variety of different Spider-Men, but we do see that there is also a variant of Jessica Drew that looks very much like the classic version. So she's around there somewhere. And then also a spinstress, which is Mary Jane's alter ego in, I forgot which Earth, but that's the Earth where she and Peter actually had a daughter.
Yeah.
Spinnerette. There we go.
Spinnerette.
And then Mayday Parker.
Yes.
Who is Peter and MJ's daughter from another alternate universe, as well as Anya Corazon. Mm-hmm. I totally butchered that. But yeah, there are tons and tons of Spider-Men, women, children, people.
Animals.
We're gonna see. Animals. Yeah, because even like Man Spider was in there, or Man Wolf, Spider Wolf was in there too.
Yes,
yeah,
I saw that.
There's a ton.
And
Can't
then,
wait.
my girl,
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld back as Gwen Stacy.
Love her.
Who?
Happy birthday to her.
Happy B-Day to her. Oh my goodness. 26?
Yeah, she's 26.
She's a baby.
She's the
gorgeous
best.
baby.
She's the same age as my girlfriend, so it's
Is she younger?
yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So
look
it's
at
like
you.
it's like I'm dating Haley Steinfeld.
I mean, that's a high compliment both ways, man. So that's pretty cool. Really excited. June 2nd, 2023.
Can't come soon enough.
Yeah, so we'll see what develops from there. I mean, even with the trailer, I still feel like we don't have a full feel for what exactly the film is going to be. But like clearly Spider-Man 2099, aka Oscar Isaac, is
Playing a
pissed.
huge role.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
something has transpired among the Spider fam that we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm sure like we'll get another trailer, maybe final trailer in
Couple
3
months,
months or
yeah.
so. Yeah.
Most likely.
So that'll be interesting. I am dying to see more of Gwen's world because like a very telling thing about her Earth is that the color palette. You can always tell when it's Gwen's universe when the color palette is a very distinct look to it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rico Renzi, colorist for the first 2 volumes, which it's modeled after.
Cool.
So yeah, I can't wait to see more of that. As Bucky's talking. He agrees. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah,
And then
it's a complete contrast to the pain that we felt from Guardians
yeah,
3.
I literally the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, Volume 3. I don't what the hell?
Yeah, dude. But I mean, like, the man is also like James Gunn is really good at like, I don't know.
He really gets you invested in characters.
Well, not only that, but like the way that I believe he cut the trailer or had the trailer cut was so intentional. Like there's got to be at least 10 red herrings in that trailer. Like there's so many like misdirects that they're like, I don't think anything is as we interpret it to be.
I texted Dai this. I was just like, Dai, I've watched the trailer 4 times. I have cried exactly 4 times. And I don't think
so
I've
wild.
cried ever
Yeah.
during a movie trailer.
A trailer.
At least an MCU
No.
trailer, at least.
Right.
And I was just like, why is this? Mm-hmm. I don't know why.
Now, is it because of the content you were watching, or is it because of the feeling of the finality of it?
I think it's the finality of it. I think it's also James does a great job of this song choice.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I had to go back and like find the original
my
because I was like,
gosh.
this is such
Yeah.
a good song.
That's one of my favorite songs.
It's such a good song.
Yeah.
And this is me coming from a person like from the younger generation. I appreciate like older generation songs because that's kind of what I grew up on. At least all those old pop like 80s, 70s, even 60s hits because of my parents.
Yep.
And so I was just like, this song is just really like, you know, especially and then even in the Ant-Man trailer, they used Yellow Brick Road. And I was like, this is such a good song for this trailer. I don't know why. So it was the song. It was the finality of everything. It was also Bradley Cooper's voice acting.
I know, dude. Oh man, we just talked about this and Bradley in our Rocket Raccoon episode.
Yeah.
So man,
There
talk
was
about double
that,
down.
and then it was the two shots of oh my gosh, of Mantis.
Yeah.
Like crying, breaking down.
yeah.
And then the shot of Quill.
Yeah.
Just belting out something in pain.
Yeah.
Looking probably someone down on a table. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it was also Lila.
Lila.
That's when I was like, oh my god, we just talked about her. I was like, oh my god,
We
we're
just
literally like, oh, do we think he's gonna?
Yeah.
Do we think James is gonna do that? Like, is he gonna bring up Rocket's love interest? And then I was like, oh shoot.
You say in your Rocket voice.
And I was
Well, no, and also the fact that like I truly didn't even realize, right? Because like you have to understand when I watch these trailers, again, my memory is so weird about remembering like frame by frame that
Yeah.
it sticks with me in a bad way. And so I try to tune out as best as I can when I watch them because I don't want to keep replaying it in my brain and being like, when I see the movie, oh, this is the part in the trailer that,
Sure.
right? Or it never shows up. And so Jeff actually
Oh, that's
texted
right.
me.
I
Was
did.
like, Lila was Rocket and Lila. I was like, Rocket and Lila, what? And then I went back and watched. I was like, oh my God.
and she has a robotic arm.
Yes.
I don't like. Does he save her? Does he go back? Like,
Yeah,
or was that
it's
a
a
point where he?
flashback.
Or was that like a flashback of like?
calling flashback.
I have to leave. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm calling flashback before everything goes to crap for Rocket.
Yeah. So
But yeah.
I can't wait for
Everybody's gonna go crazy. Like, if they don't like raccoons, they probably love otters. And Lila's the cutest. Like, I wonder who's voicing her. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, we don't know. Huh?
That makes all the difference too.
We don't know.
Nothing yet.
Danielle
although-
Melchior.
It would be interesting if it was but she's a droid. I believe she's
Is that
a
what she
droid.
got cast? Did she say what she got casted
posted
in?
pictures while
She
while they
did,
were
huh?
filming. Yeah, she didn't necessarily say it was for Guardians, but it was like, it's for Guardians of the Galaxy. You can tell. But it would be interesting if Jennifer Holland was Lila.
Oh wow.
Because I think she's in the movie now too, right?
Oh, that's right. But she never revealed.
They didn't say who she was.
I think there's still
Yeah.
a couple people who
Yeah.
we don't know who they're playing. But yeah.
Very exciting.
Can't wait. May can't come soon enough. Yeah.
So basically next year is going to be, it's going to be a ride.
It's gonna lot.
Because we're going to have Ant-Man in February, Guardians in May, and then Spider-Verse in June. So it's shaping up. It's
And
coming
then the
together.
Marvels, right?
And then Marvels after that in July.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's going to be fun. And so before we get into the actual show itself, I just wanted to shout out our friends over at Bat Fan Addict Podcast, who recently did the same for us. I actually met Sam at Emerald City Comic Con. He's a great guy, big, huge Bat Fan Addict.
Hell yeah.
And he does all things great with his co-hosts on that show. And so, I just wanted to say thanks, guys. And thanks to anybody who's come over from that side of the fence. So that said,
Yeah.
we're not experts. We don't claim to be. We're just a couple of nerds nerding out. And today we'll be nerding out over Young Avenger and MCU newbie America Chavez.
America Chavez. Yes. Amazing. So excited for this one.
Very much
Yeah.
so. So created by Joe Casey and Nick Dragotta. America, did you look at this yet?
No.
Do you want to give a shot in the dark?
First appearance?
First appearance. What year?
Oh shoot. Man.
Come on.
Comics are so vast, man. like is it 1940 or is it 2015? Anywhere in between. I don't know.
Yeah.
America Chavez. I know she's relatively new.
Yes.
I know that. Mm-hmm. Let's go. You don't want to go to 19. I got that part right. I hope so. I could be wrong.
Look at my face. Says everything.
Damn. Oh God. I want to go 2001.
Close, but not close.
Oh.
You're in the realm,
Well,
but
that's not
you're
fun.
a little bit off by a decade.
Damn.
So, America first appeared in Vengeance #1, September 2011.
Oh, even later.
Yeah, she's super fresh. She's super baby
That's
fresh.
very,
man.
very
yeah,
fresh.
she's kind of in the realm of the Jessica Jones Winter Soldier revival-esque
Got it.
sorts.
Okay.
And so I have the cover here. The covers themselves all feature some of our favorite anti-heroes and villains, but America's debut actually comes with a Magneto cameo, and he's on
wow.
the cover as well. Yeah, so
Okay.
that kind of puts some perspective of like what the issue is about. But the issue itself also features the first appearances of Ultimate Nullifier, Mako, Radioactive Kid, the new Black Knight, who. Not Dane Whitman. Dane Whitman was the second, but he came in the 70s-ish, 80s. But that Black Knight, in addition to America. So this book,
Oh wow.
based on all the first appearances, even though they're not as maybe as prominent as she is,
Yeah.
gives it some worth more than the usual one-shot first appearance. What is, all intents and purposes, a modern book.
Got it.
So yeah, on Shortboxed, you can get the 1 in 15 variant, CGC 9.8 graded, for a cool $2,495.
Holy.
Which, if you think about it, compared to the Rocket Raccoon, for instance,
Yes.
$3,000, book from the 80s, and she
Already
already at a 9.8,
2.2
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah. So that's for the variant, but for the regular, which is this cover here, you could get a 9.8 for about 1,000.
Oh,
So it's still pretty
attainable.
high.
Yeah, high
and
but attainable.
It's high but attainable, and it is a little surprising for a modern book, but hey, that's pretty awesome. And then on the flip side, you can get the same 1 in 15 variant, a 9.8 CGC, on eBay for. Don't ask me what this number is. I don't understand this number at all. $7,681.01.
Is that a bid or something, or is that an
That's
actual?
a straight up a straight up buy now.
He said, "Screw it." I want to just.
Yeah, I was like, what figure are you putting in there? That it's $7,681.01.
That's to pay off a very specific loan for
Yeah,
him.
it
He's
feels
I
like
need
it,
this
yeah.
amount of money.
And then, of course, a regular CGC 9.6 for $3,500. So the traders and collectors on both platforms seem very divided on where the value of this book, which is kind of interesting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Lowest short box 9.0, $225. That's pretty reasonable. While over on eBay, a CGC 9.4 goes for about $600. And then there's a 9.0 for $133.95.
It's very specific.
Yeah, it's a very specific, but again, interesting price range for Miss America Chavez. And then, of course, you can get a loose copy of the book for anywhere between $15 and $150. So, first exposure to the character, hands down, I'm sure.
Easy.
Yeah,
Easily the movie.
yeah. I knew of her. I barely read any titles of her.
Yes.
But I'm familiar enough to have made comparisons between the film and the comic. Just enough.
Nice.
Just enough that I was like, okay, I understand. I got Steve Rogers, total Steve Rogers. I got that reference. Like, you know, like I get it, but I'm not anywhere near the depth of a seasoned America Chavez fan. So this was an interesting study for me to do on my end, at least. And of course, you know, like coming into the realm around 2011, once again, I have no trading cards. I don't know if any physical trading cards exist. But this one, I do have a digital one.
Of course.
So I have my little, here we go. So this is a base tier number 8. It's not very rare, but I do have one. I have several of this card in particular. They're like profile cards.
Ooh.
So this is what she looks like in the books.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar.
Okay.
She's a little older. She's a little, she's got a little more to her costume in general. And she wears shorts like religiously.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
Yeah. And the back of her card says, America Chavez, hailing from the utopian parallel, a lush wonderland, dimension once threatened with destruction, Chavez's parents died to save her world. Inspired to become a hero, she uses her great powers to help all across the multiverse. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
That pretty much checks out with what we know of her in the MCU. But before we get to that part, I'm going to expand on this a wee bit. So we're throwing out more terms, right? We're getting used to these other parts of the Marvel universe. So utopian parallel. So yeah, it's exactly what the card says. It's a lush wonderland, and it's an alternate dimension. And so, this place, what Marvel describes as a realm outside conventional time and space, formed by formed from the unbinding of magic by the multidimensional Messiah Demiurge. And so we talked about the Demiurge, I think in the Doctor Strange episode.
Yes.
And it's like this, you know, I don't even want to go into yeah. Oh, actually, you know, I think it was also the Eternals episode. And so it's a sentient life force that basically seeded Earth with its power, right? And gave birth to beings known as the Elder Gods.
Yes.
That's what we talked about. And so, again, if you want to hear all about that, just go back to our tragically long Eternals episode. It was a heavy hitter, let me tell you that.
Yeah.
But back to the utopian parallel, when America herself was 6 years old. Do you remember how old she was in the movie? Did she say how old she was? I don't recall.
I don't believe hearing a number,
Yeah.
but I want to say
yeah.
it's her actual age in real life, which is around 16, 17, because she's 16 right now.
But I mean, like in the flashback.
Oh, in the no, she didn't say. She said when I was a kid.
Okay.
So maybe it could be
6 years old. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty true to life. So when she was 6 years old, in the comic books, the dimensional rifts from the mysterious forces threatened to fracture the utopian parallel, and so it was rupturing, and if this got out of hand, it would have sent all of its inhabitants to different dimensions.
Oof.
And so America's Mothers, which is very much the same in the films, they actually in the comic books they kind of came together and used their prowess to kind of save everybody. They wanted to be the hero. They don't want to be heroes, but they wanted to save everyone,
Protect everybody.
Yeah. And so unfortunately, when they were sealing the rifts, they died in the process, which is quite similar to, at least
in some
way.
form.
Yeah, to
But
the film.
they technically didn't die
in
the movie.
In the movie, exactly. And so while in the books, America, she was grief-stricken, but she was also inspired by the heroism that her mothers had. And so that kind of made her become the hero that she was intended to be all along. It's always that catalyst, right? And so America's catalyst, unfortunately, was the death of her mothers, but she was essentially intent on carrying on that same energy and willingness to help people throughout the multiverse. And so she eventually settled on Prime Earth 616, as a teenager. So in the books, like I kind of mentioned a minute or two ago, she's a little older.
Yeah.
She's about 18, 19.
Okay.
Give or take. I would say currently she's probably closer to 2021 because Kate Bishop's about 2021.
Oh, okay.
And they run in the same circle, but we'll talk about them a little later. But for now, of course, America Chavez, portrayed by Xochitl Gomez in the MCU, first and last seen in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So
the GOAT, man.
She's so good.
She's everywhere, first of all, right now.
She's
everywhere. Have you not seen
I feel like she's everywhere all the time.
She was just at an event it was her, Simu Liu. And oh my God, please hold on, hate me. Miss Marvel. God.
And Tinoch.
Iman, yes.
Vellani,
Yeah, all three of them were
I
together.
didn't realize she was there too.
Who?
Well, and also Tinoch, Huerta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All four of them were there?
I don't know if all four, but those first three for sure. And
definitely.
then she was with,
oh wow,
I think Tinoch at something else.
Oh wow.
Dude,
they gotta
she's
put all
everywhere.
the kids everywhere. Yeah, they're all the new kids of the MCU block.
And because they're both active on social media, Simu's always like, all right, see you soon. See you soon, Sochi. And everyone's like, what? Yeah.
I love it. But the kid, I mean, like, in all honesty, she's checking all the bells and whistles, right? Like she's great in the film. She's great as this character. She seems very personable in real life.
Yes.
She was a TikTok queen, and she still kind of is.
Yes.
Let's be honest. Because she did a TikTok with your girlfriend very recently.
Oh, she went to Haley's birthday party.
That's which, yeah.
It should have been me.
Where's your invite, Geoffrey? Are you not telling me something? Did you go? Yeah, so that's kind of wild. So they know each other. I mean, obviously, not obviously, but I mean,
I feel like they're all going to meet at some point on set.
Definitely.
I don't know when, but I just feel like it's inevitable.
Is it weird that even though she's Kate Bishop, I still think of her first as Gwen Stacy?
I don't think that's weird because you are Gwen Stacy.
I appreciate that. So when I saw the video, I was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, right, Hawkeye. But so she slays it on TikTok and the red carpet looks are phenomenal. Whoever her stylist is, I'm like, dude, those dresses are incredible. Every outfit is incredible. And she's still a baby. She's
16. Yeah, 16, 17.
Yeah, Iman is older than her.
Yes.
So Yeah. What can we say about Sochi? Like,
Well, it's crazy because she's 7. She's so young.
she's so
But like, I
young,
love
yeah.
her personality. Like, she's so fun.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I can relate to her, but
Yeah.
not in like that way.
Yeah.
Because she's so young. So obviously, like, we think different, but I feel like she's so seasoned because she's part of the MCU family. Like, she has to go through that certain of like, can't really say anything, but I'm still gonna be a kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. She's
And-
still very much herself.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
love that. And I think we brought this up in the Doctor Strange episode when we were talking about some point Multiverse of Madness. Oh, and then we did talk about Multiverse of Madness, and we talked about the movie. I was like, does no one realize like how important this girl is?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we'll get into it later when we talk about her powers and everything, but she is a one-of-one superhero
Right.
in the MCU.
Truly one of a kind.
Yeah. So it's like, I would get annoyed. I think that'd be time. I would be annoyed if we didn't see more of her, especially with all this multiverse stuff we are getting into in the next at least 3-4 years.
I know, which is wild because we're in the multiverse saga now. So that's
Pretty much,
and she is,
and then with Kang
Yeah.
coming in, and he's literally the multiverse. He traverses the multiverse to, that's his thing. It's like, okay, well, there's one person in the world, not even world, the universe, that can do that
Yep.
legally.
I know.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. She plays such a pivotal role. And so let's take it back to Doctor Strange. And so, I mean, and we've discussed many a time, and even people who have seen the film, in general, have all, commented on the fact that, the movie just starts. It just goes.
It does.
It doesn't have a soft swell into tension. It's like it starts out hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
And we're immediately introduced to America in that film. And so, they were running from, what would you call that thing? I should have looked the name up, but that thing that was chasing them, one of the monsters that was chasing them, and then she's with the Doctor Strange from an alternate universe, and you immediately get the sense of, okay, so Doctor Strange from another universe is protecting this character.
Yes. And she's a kid. She's like, I'm just following what you do.
Yeah.
Help me. I don't want to die.
Right.
Yeah.
She's immediately got this importance and this weight of importance in the MCU and in the multiverse. And so the next time we see her, she's transported and she's on what we would designate as Prime Earth in the MCU. And then they have to frickin' battle Gargantos, which is like...
Funny enough, most monsters were sent by Wanda.
Yeah. And so, the poor kid is like running for the first, 10 minutes of her story. But we do see very quickly that she's got these incredible abilities to some degree, aside the strange teleportation. But like when she's on the ledge on the building and she stomps out the stars and she's able to like break the rubble.
Yes.
And so it's like, okay, so she's also strong.
Yes.
To some degree, but you still don't really get the vibe of who, what, where, and why until Strange and Wong really like talk to the kid.
Like, who are you?
Yeah, like so, exactly. And it was almost like, to Strange, it felt like another Tuesday.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's like,
saving another kid.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
During Christine's wedding.
Sure, I guess.
Exactly. But yeah, like to your point, Jeff, like the fact that the multiverse is like, she's the poster child for multiverse at this rate. Like it kind of started, it was an idea that started kind of with WandaVision and Loki, and it's only mutated with America Chavez.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what do you think about how they kind of didn't tackle her story until, I don't know, halfway through?
I think it was like just before midway when well, we got a little bit of a taste of it when after the fight with Gargantos at the pizza shop, they're eating pizza, saying like what do you do?
Yeah.
And then Strange is like, all right, let's get you home. How does that? Oh no, that was after the Battle of Carmitage.
Yes.
Because they don't know.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what she's capable of. Only Wanda does.
Right.
And all strangers, I'm just protecting you from Wanda because, oh gosh, she has the Darkhold. So
yeah, exactly.
No.
Right.
But then it's when they travel through the multiverse in that scene, and you see at least like 8 different
Oh yeah.
universes.
When they're tumbling
yeah.
through the universes.
And then they end up in one Earth 8-3. No, that's the other one.
Do you remember it?
No, I don't know that one, but the other one was
Yeah.
Earth 838, where they got trapped in the Illuminati.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they do that little background, like as you just read,
Yeah.
on her trading card of. So they showed like her memory and like, and it was kind of the same almost,
Yeah.
as the origin on
Yeah.
her trading card, but kind of not really because her parents,
Yeah.
her moms are still technically out there.
Yeah, like you get this vibe of like, okay, they're clearly, obviously, in another dimension, and you kind of get the sense that America didn't quite have her powers yet. Maybe like because in the X-Men world, for instance, the
Yeah.
mutants, most of their I won't say most, but it does kind of have a divide of like some mutants are born and immediately show signs of what they've inherited in their powers
Sure,
or
yes.
whatever their abilities are. Whereas others, their powers don't manifest until they have like a stressful occurrence.
Yes,
right?
and that's
or puberty. Or
and that's what
something.
she went through.
And that seems to be what America went through. She had a moment of like, she was scared, and
Yes.
she had a moment where she just had a high level of anxiety and stress. And then boom.
Yeah, she only
portal
like her
opens.
powers only come out when her life is in danger.
Right.
So, and that's kind of like, which is obviously a typical comic book trope.
Yeah.
But it's also like, well, you can't. Like, imagine if you just, I mean, maybe people would like that, but just like,
Yeah.
like, I know how to use my powers. I know how to do it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Like,
Yeah.
but
And then-
it makes sense because she's young.
Yeah. And then her parents are indeed like sucked out of that dimension.
Go into another
and
universe.
they go somewhere else.
And yeah, and that's kind of her journey throughout the whole movie. Her arc is, I have this amazing power that is probably one of the most powerful things to have and do, but I don't know how to control it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of her arc throughout the whole movie, is learning how to control her powers,
Right.
and not die.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, the search for her mothers in general, you know, like she's traversed multiple dimensions, more or less looking for not only one of her, but also her mother's. And she's, for
Yeah.
the most part, unsuccessful for the
Yeah.
entirety.
I mean,
unsuccessful.
I wonder if, like, is she just gonna make cameos?
That's the question,
You know,
right?
at
Like
this
we don't
point-
really know. We don't really know until.
I mean, because like, does she deserve a movie? I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll give her one or even a show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
a
know.
tough one. It's a
It
tough one.
is.
Because she can probably end up in multiple properties. But yeah, I mean, after, you know, going back to the sequence of the film, at least, once we're introduced to the 838 Illuminati, you know, she's held up in the cell and Christine is there trying to get her out. And then like Scarlet Witch is going full force, like Carrie on her.
Yeah.
She's like coming after the girl. And then, you know, they're still traversing the multiverse even to this point. And then, you know, to get their hands on the Book of Ashanti. And then, of course, you know, she goes head to head with Scarlet Witch, which, realistically speaking, do you think she could actually take on Wanda by herself? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think we know. Like, I also don't know what else she's of what America's capable of strength
Yeah.
wise, power wise. Like, we know she can punch portals into different universes. We know that much. But like, how strong is she? Like, what else can she do that's just not opening portals to other
Right.
universes?
Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't know if that
Yeah.
has ever been a thing, but took advantage of the opportunity and
Yeah.
said, "Screw it, I'm gonna
Yeah.
punch you back into what you want," and then boom,
Yeah.
that's how she defeats
yeah.
Scarlet Witch.
Which is pretty clever, especially for a kid.
She's like, no, she's like, you know, maybe she was probably like, I know I can't beat you, so I'm going to give you what you want.
Yeah.
And that just breaks her
Yeah.
down completely.
Yeah, and I feel like she kind of says that in the film too,
Yeah.
right? It's just like, I know what to do. Like she
Yeah.
just had that epiphany with the zombie strange. And then of course at the end of the film, becoming a practitioner of the Comitage. And,
Which is another added layer to
yeah.
what she can do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's well, and then it's also like steering her course, right? So she's her powers are kind of she doesn't quite know how to use them.
Yeah.
But by practicing the ways of the magic and the sorcerers and all them, you know, she can now hone her powers into what she wants them to do. So it's an interesting, unexpected twist, at least from a comic book standpoint, because, you know, we'll get to it a little later. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where she goes in the MCU. Because, like you said, like where is she going to pop up next? Because there is
Very.
no Doctor Strange 3, you know, like in the works yet. There are no Young Avengers films lined up quite yet.
I just want I want the MCU to just finish out their trilogies. That's
Yeah.
I feel like that's when they should just like draw it, like, you know, it's like
Yeah.
finish out the trilogy and, like, you know, cool, be done with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. So with that, I do have your one and only pop quiz.
Yes.
It's been a minute because we didn't have any in our
You
last
didn't.
episode.
Yes.
So this is pretty easy. It's a multiple choice.
That's what they all say.
So, which of the following names was a former alias of America Chavez's in the comics?
Oh.
Was it Lady Americana,
Okay.
Captain Chavez,
Okay.
Miss America,
Okay.
or simply AC?
Which one was an alias?
Was an alias.
What was the first one?
Lady Americana.
Oh my goodness, man. AC, I don't think it's the second one.
Captain Chavez.
That's just too on the nose.
Okay.
Kind of cringe.
Yeah.
And the third one was
Miss America.
Miss America. What is that, pageant show? Yeah. My choices are either A or D.
So Lady Americana or AC?
AC. AC is like, that's so like, God, I'm gonna be so wrong, and it's gonna be one of the ones I just totally ignore. I think Lady Americana.
Lady Americana? Final answer?
Yeah.
Jeffrey, I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
You were right in the fact that you were wrong. Miss America was actually her alias. But in more modern times, she has corrected everybody. And she says, Ms. America. So there is a Ms. Marvel and a Ms. America.
Okay.
Those are their monikers. And
Sure.
so while it's kind of confirmed that it's not actually derivative of a previous character, the code name Miss America as the pageant is actually associated with a classic Marvel heroine by the name of Madeline Joyce Frank, whose latent powers were activated during a life-altering electrical storm.
Of course.
So she had like thunder powers, sort of, but she wasn't a god of sorts,
course.
and she was not a Lady Thor, but yeah, she was the original Miss America. But America herself has had a couple of names that she's been known for: simply USA, as well as Miss America, the Demiurge, and Princess. But Princess is more of like, you know, okay, Princess.
Yeah.
It's not really a moniker. It's just
almost
kind of
condescending.
yeah, it's a condescending name. And so, you know, typically with these episodes, we tend to save family and friends for much later. With this character, I had to move all of that up because we need to discuss her mother's immediately.
Oh,
Because let me
play
tell
it.
you, Jeff.
they're important.
Yes, they're incredibly important. And so, for those who did not know, their names are Elena and Amalia Chavez, portrayed by Ruth Livier and Chess Lopez, respectively. And so, yeah, you know, again, these two are shown in America's core memory, in the utopian parallel, at least what we believe is the utopian parallel, you don't really know or get too much information out of them, aside that they're wearing these uniforms. They're kind of like uniforms. You're not sure for what.
Yeah.
They're almost identical in a way.
You don't know what,
Yeah.
I mean, you know it's their home planet, but you don't know like what is it?
What
Where
does it
is
entail?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, America's powers trigger, and then they're lost in the multiverse. Current status unknown, though. America herself, she says like, I killed them. So I don't know. They could be floating around in the multiverse somewhere. Maybe we'll see them in another film. But everything I just told you about her mothers doesn't exist
At all.
in the comics. They pulled a full-on retcon, and they kind of like the MCU version seems even more simplified than what originally started in the comic books. So this is why I pulled this topic up to the forefront, because in the books they play a very important role, but for a very different set of reasons, and so we'll get into that shortly. But Elena and Amalia themselves, they were both an expert pathologist and microbiologist team, respectively, who worked to cure this disease that America had in the comic books. It was called Edge's syndrome. And so it's a genetic defect linked to double X chromosomes that causes rapid prepubescent cellular deterioration. So very inherent in little girls, that pre-puberty, they just started to deteriorate. They started to die.
Oh my gosh.
It was almost like it was like cancer.
Yeah.
It's like a cancer, but it only affected women.
Jeez.
And so in her youth, the mothers were negotiating with this gentleman we'll talk about later in the show. They wanted nothing more than to cure their daughter.
Yeah.
And so they're coerced into helping not only the facility and not only America, but the facility, and so that they could help all the children that were on this property. And so it's a retcon from start to finish.
That is interesting.
And it gets even worse because it debunks the fact that she came from the utopian parallel at all. Because the utopian parallel now in modern times was nothing more than an island.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was an island that this facility belonged to, and everything else is not as we know it. And so it turned out that America and her previously unmentioned sister were being treated at this facility, much to the delight of a facilitator named Mr. Gales, who seemed to be exploiting the girls that are on the island. And so it's very strange how the intentions go, because it's like he was attracted to anybody who had powers of some sort.
Got
so
it.
he's like that mastermind villain that's coming together. That's like, I'm gonna hoard all the children and make my own army type of deal.
Of course.
And so, speaking of sister, I wanted to get into this a little bit. So actually before we get to that, I want to show you some pictures that I will post online as well. But to get a sense of who we're dealing with, here are her moms. And this is when they were going to the utopian parallel.
Oh, wow.
They're pretty fly in the comics.
Yeah.
And so, Amalia and Elena there just kind of chilling, scoping the island. And so the sister's name is Catalina. So Catalina Chavez. She's the younger sister, so America's slightly older, I don't know, 2 or 3 years or so.
Yeah.
And so Catalina herself also possessed latent powers, including the ability of lightning bolt projection and electricity. And she could also fly, and she was also very fast.
Wow.
And so the interesting thing about this is that I don't think it's necessarily a mutant scenario. They just have powers. They're superhuman powered.
Yeah.
I don't think they exclusively have ever called them mutants, but you kind of get the idea. And so her story, Catalina's story, is pretty sad and twisted when it gets right to it. She was experimented on after America fled the scene, and later makes her sister recall the traumatic beginnings. And so So going back to the story about her mothers and how it isn't quite like we knew it at the top of the show or the MCU is that when everything was coming to a head, America's powers were she already had her powers of the multiverse portal opening.
Yeah.
And so her mothers wanted to make the valiant effort of like destroying the facility as they do. So
Okay.
one was getting them out of there. The other one was at the facility with a grenade in her hand. I'm going
Holy.
to take this place down.
Holy.
And they very, very plainly are having a conversation where, one mother is like, I've got the girls, let's go. And then the other one's like, just tell them that I love them. And then
Jeez.
it all goes kaboom. And so it's traumatizing. And
Yeah.
so to make matters worse, even with the help of all the little girls in the facility using their powers respectively to combat this big bad villain that we'll talk about, it's still not enough. And so he very plainly pulls out a gun. He stops the mom and America and Catalina in their tracks, and he's like, well, and he shoots her dead, like right in front of the children, and she dies. And so America, in a very traumatic sequence, like, I mean, I hate saying like in the movie because it's nothing like in the
that's
comic books
at all.
but she opens a portal, a big old portal opens up, and she tries to take her sister with her. She falls through, and the villain
Grabs her
grabs
sister.
the sister, and the portal closes. So America's left
Alone.
falling alone. And so she ends up washing ashore. I don't remember, Jones Bay? I think it's Jones Bay or something like that. And she washes up on shore. She's found by a family that happens to be vacationing in that area, named the Santana family, who we're going to talk about in just a second. And they adopt her.
Wow.
They're like, where did she come from? They don't know. She doesn't talk. She doesn't say anything. All that they know about her is that she's in this uniform from the Utopian Parallel, and it has her name America on the side. And that's it. She's adopted by this new family. And so the big overarching thing that we're taking away from this retelling of the story is that it ends up that America herself was so traumatized by the experience of what quote unquote really happened that she manifested the pleasant version of her parents, her mothers tried to save their dimension, and put the seal on the portal, or like in the movie, oh, there was a bee and the portal opened. Like none of that happened.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like, wow, it kind of put a false sense of security for me for the MCU version. Maybe that didn't actually happen. Maybe she too in the MCU has this really terrible PTSD that she made up a more simplified version of what happened.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's
maybe.
an interesting twist, right?
Yeah. Or maybe they read that, the people read that and they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's violent.
It's super duper violent,
That
right?
is dark.
Yeah, super duper dark, super duper violent. And so here's a screenshot of Catalina trying to, so basically when Catalina was reintroduced into the fold, like America didn't buy any of it. She's like, who are you? What are you doing? Like I'm trying to find my mothers, and they're in the multiverse. And she's like, oh no, our moms died. Don't you remember? And she basically gives her the serum to make her remember, and it's all this craziness. And so Catalina's kind of fallen on the dark side, if you will. But yeah, so it's an interesting thought. Like that's a reach for sure. But could they do that in the MCU?
Maybe.
If they really wanted to take a dark
That's
turn,
super dark.
they definitely could. It's a big old. She just thought that she just assumed she was adopted. Like,
Oh.
yes, but it was really because they found her and
Wow.
they took her in as a child. So she's got a very complex origin story, at least when it comes to the comic books. I will say, like, when she and Catalina have their big fight, America, she's has this moment in the books where the Edges syndrome is kind of coming back, and so she's weakened. And she, at one point, is fighting her sister, and she says, "I've got enough juice for one more portal, and I'm going to send you to one of the worst places on this world." Do you want to give any idea? Do you have any idea? You want to get a guess of where she sends Catalina? One of the worst places in the world.
Oh, God. I can't even know.
She sends her to the New Jersey Turnpike.
That's, jeez.
Because
Miss Marvel would like to have a word.
because America herself hails from the Bronx. So
Got it.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
So the New Yorkers taking any opportunity they can to rag on the Jersey folk. But yeah, so speaking of the Santanas, not much to say about them. They just are very much, they're a family that took her in when she was at her lowest point. But they are Javier, Cecilia, Berto, his unnamed wife, and son JJ. It's a big family, so it's this balance that she was missing from her life, and they've got their own dynamics, and she's very close to Berto, who is kind of just a little bit older than her. But yeah, there's a lot of drama that happens in between. It's kind of wild. It's a wild ride, but definitely worth a read. So none of these characters aside, Elena and Amalia, have MCU counterparts. Yet. So whether or not we're going to see any of them, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, again, it's a tough call. I don't know. Maybe it's too complex, too dark for the MCU. But do you honestly think we see them again, the mothers?
We have to.
You think?
I feel like she's her goal now after Multiverse of Madness is because Strange, and we're talking about him in a sec, like he brings it up. He was like, your mothers are out there, right? Like he said that, like I know they're out there. So it's like,
do you think they're going to be bad?
I think she's going to be in for a surprise. She's probably going to think that like, oh, my mother, da 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 da. But wherever they ended up when America opened that portal,
Yeah.
typical trope of like, you think it's just going to be like the same thing, like seeing your mother's happy to see you. And then it's like, no, like they might have, they might have like
Another life.
not another life. They might have like this angst towards her.
Yeah.
Like you sent us.
Yeah.
Even though it was an accident. Like
Resentment.
da, da, da. Yeah, resentment. There it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, crap. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like we do see them again because we have to. Because now that's her motivation.
Yeah.
I think is like if I just sent my moms through a portal, like I didn't kill them.
Yeah.
I just sent them through a portal. They have to still
be there.
hopefully be alive.
They're existing somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's very true. And also, like while America herself is a one for one, like the same isn't to be said about her mother's, even though she's been unsuccessful finding any other ones. So, I mean, I think that she's got that going for her too, at least. But yeah, again, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah, well, when and where are they going to explore these things? But who knows? So, speaking of Strange, of course, portrayed by Benedict Cumberbatch. Woo! Last seen in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So yeah, so she's, in the film, America's saved by Strange, and then she's she, I feel, is the true key for Strange himself understanding the ways of the multiverse. Like in Spider-Man No Way Home, he's aware of it. He understands the mechanism that is the multiverse.
Yes.
But I feel like he really doesn't get the idea until their film.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting if you think about it, especially seeing himself, for instance, like, that's another version.
It's like, oh,
he's
that's
dead.
me.
Yeah.
But I'm dead.
And then I'm going to resurrect myself.
I know.
Which all of that, in itself is kind of a mind bender because like he's in one place and he's, what do they call it?
Dreamwalking.
Dreamwalking.
Yeah.
So they're dreamwalking, and so they've introduced dreamwalking into the whole element. And it's just like, oh gosh. And so, Strange got his first taste with the realities visited during Infinity War, I would say. Do you agree with that? When he went through the possibilities, I feel like that was his dipping the toe into the multiverse.
Sure, because he was the only character at the time that could even do something like that. So it made
Right,
sense. Like he
right.
can see into the future,
Yeah.
but he can't go there.
What's the number again?
4,605,000. I think.
I'm not even gonna look it up because I trust you. Because I feel
No,
like
I have to say the full line.
there you go.
I went forward in time to see alternate futures of the upcoming outcome. How many did you see? 4,605,000, I think.
Is it that easy of a number?
Yeah, I thought so too. But yeah, I'll put it in. I'll put the clip in right here, Jeffrey. Make sure you put it in right here.
Hey, what was that?
Went forward in time to view alternate futures, to see all the possible outcomes of the coming conflict.
How many did you see?
14,605,000.
And then Iron Man says, "How many did we win?" 1.
So dramatic.
Yeah, 4,605,000.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo!
Wow.
Let's go.
I'm endlessly impressed by that. Jeez Louise. But yeah, it is interesting because I feel like in retrospect, because Endgame and Infinity War were so final, right?
One dimensional.
It was like
Yeah.
clean break between what we know now, right? And so
I mean, but it did tackle on time travel.
yeah.
Well, you know,
A little bit. Yeah. And so that's why I feel like they're doing that thing ever so cleverly where they are seeding these ideas and these
Yes.
scenarios. And so I feel like, personally speaking, I feel it goes beyond No Way Home, and it does start with Infinity War, at least for Strange. And so now I feel like the next time we see him, especially with Clea, they're going to have these moments where he's going to take what he's learned from these last three films, and just really have an idea of what the multiverse is about. And then they're going to further expand with her in that token. But yeah, and it goes even further with the progression of Wanda and the Darkhold and what happened there. Which even Wanda herself, we still don't really know what happened to her.
There's I think pros and cons of the ever expanding universe of the MCU, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to tie up these loose ends, but we also want to introduce these new, continue stories, but start new stories. So it's like I said, I just want them to finish up their trilogies that they have currently right now.
Yeah.
So obviously like the Ant-Man trilogy. And then whenever the time comes, Doctor Strange 3, because you have to wrap that up at some point.
Yeah.
And I know Benedict said he loves playing the character, but just give him a nice ending story. Like you've already cut off the Christine story, which is great. I said that in Doctor Strange episode. I was like, yes, thank God.
Yeah.
He's moved on from that.
Yeah.
Cool. What's his next one? Boom. Clea.
What's
Boom. And side tangent. There was, I think Charlize Theron did an interview of some sort, and someone asked her about like how was it playing her, and she she's just like me. She rewatched all the Marvel movies before, and she was like, oh, they're so effing good. That's what she said, and I was like, yes,
Love
queen.
her. See, if Charlize Theron says they're so effing good, like come on.
So it's like, so now that she's brought into this, like give her, let her move on, like let Strange get to his end, and then Clea come up type of,
Yeah, that's a great idea because, I wasn't going to initially talk about this, but there are issues in which, Clea is Strange, right? She's Clea Strange in the books. And so she is the Doctor Strange. And so America goes to her for help and for guidance all the time.
We just wrote the final of the trilogy, right there.
There you go. It's just going to be called Strange, right? It's just Strange.
Yeah, like,
and it's going to be Clea.
Like Strange doesn't have to die, but like give him a story, an ending that's suitable for him. I say this all the time. Like
like
Iron Man, his story was justified. His death is justified.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers ending justified. He didn't die, but he just doesn't exist
He's
anymore.
on the moon.
Yeah. Just like let it, even if Hawkeye never does anything else
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
I feel like his story's justified.
Yeah. And
Like-
it's an interesting thing with Strange in the books, at least, it was because he got trapped in the mirror world of sorts.
Yes.
And so he becomes the man in the mirror
Nice.
and he's observing.
Hilarious.
He's almost like, yeah, it's very interesting. I was like, that'd be an interesting spin for him and to open it up to Clea being America's, guiding light, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the film, so America becoming a new apprentice at Kamar-Taj, it is there. I didn't catch on to this until my second viewing, but it is kind of sad when you think about it because Strange is unknowingly dealing with the loss of Peter Parker through America, because now he never had a kid. Hey kid, like he never had one in his brain.
But does he remember like what
I
happened
don't
with
think
Peter
he
Parker?
remembers.
Exactly.
I don't think he
just
does.
knows Spider-Man. That's it.
Right. And so that's why I mean is like he's unknowingly like he doesn't realize he's doing it, but we as an audience
Oh, sure,
observing
sure,
it,
sure.
we're like, oh my God,
Yes.
he's coping with Peter Parker without Peter Parker, but now he has America Chavez.
Yes. Like I feel like even though he doesn't remember who Peter Parker is, but he has this sense of like empathy
Right.
for America because it's like she's just a kid. Like
Yeah.
I need to protect her.
Yeah. I
You
feel
know?
like there's like some subconscious, not paternal, but some subconscious learning
Yes.
that he has.
Like I said,
Yeah.
everybody was going through a character arc
Yes.
throughout this movie. America
For
was
sure.
getting over like obviously learning how to use her powers.
Yeah.
And mourning her parents and hopefully having that hope of like, oh, maybe I can.
Maybe she
And then
can,
the same. And then Doctor Strange's arc was he's getting over Christine because he knows he'll never be with her, but I'll love you in every universe.
that line.
I'm stealing that line.
So good.
And then knowing that like, okay, well, I'm not gonna have Christine, but I have this kid who, and obviously she very much looks up to him.
Yeah.
And then now he's like, okay, like it's time to turn over a new leaf.
Yeah.
Boom. But now that he has the whole Darkhold third eye thing, and
Yeah.
Clea comes. Oh, we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. So in the books, this has happened quite a few times, and it definitely happens with this character in particular. That the characters that are linked to her in the film do not have direct correlating links to or connections to her in the books. Like it's never this is the same dynamic they have. Like it's not the same. They're aware of each other. They have instances where they're in the same capacity, but they don't have the same relationship that they do in the film.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they don't have quite as much interaction whatsoever. It's in and out. It's kind of like I think we mentioned this in our Rocket episode. Like Rocket himself doesn't have a distinct enemy. It's just whenever the Guardians has something, he's looped in by proxy. And so it's kind of the same with America. Wherever her friends go or whatever team she's on, whatever they're dealing with, she's dealing with that.
Yeah.
So she's far more closely affiliated to who I was also going to honorable mention, by the way, as her friends and family. But she's more closely affiliated to Kid Loki, Hulkling,
Wow.
who is Teddy Altman, Prodigy, Marvel Boy, Wiccan, and Cassie Lang, aka Stature, in the comics. Which, for the record, in the MCU, already Jack Veal as Kid Loki. It's a different Loki, technically. I don't think it's supposed to be the same Loki, but we don't know because it's a multiverse. Julian Hilliard as Wiccan, Abby Ryder Forston, Emma Furman, and Catherine Newton as Cassie Lang. Maybe she'll be Stature. I don't
see.
know.
She has
We'll
a suit
see.
already,
She has a
so-
suit, yeah. And then, with the exception of Hulkling, Prodigy, and Marvel Boy, they don't have MCU debuts yet. So, more or less, that group, Young Avengers, less, some kid named Kate Bishop.
I hope so. I mean, they have to do a Young Avengers film. Man.
Exactly. I know. I mean, that's the next reasonable step, I think, for a team of that caliber.
Yeah. I did see a leak on like a potential like story of how Secret Wars would be and
Oh, yeah?
Kang Dynasty. It's just a story leak.
Yeah?
Like how it would potentially be. And I'm like,
Huh.
oh, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, we'll see.
ellipses of
Yeah.
TB.
I'm not going to tell you
TBC.
anything. But I
That's
read
fine.
it and I was like, that makes sense.
Interesting.
And then my next thing was like, oh, that would be an insane looking movie. I was like, good
Yeah.
luck with that.
I mean, they made Infinity War happen and Endgame happen, so
Which is like scary.
Yeah.
Because of like what's about to come in the next few
Right.
years with this whole multiverse saga.
yeah. Well,
So yeah, we'll see.
we'll see if Sony plays nice. And of course, other notable teams include the Ultimates, the West Coast Avengers, A-Force. Then A-Force is where she first started using the moniker Ms. America.
Oh, nice.
And then this team called the Thunderbolts.
Wow.
Yes.
Imagine.
It's so bizarre because Hawkeye leads that version.
Oh,
So-
it's hilarious.
And this is recent. Like this version of Thunderbolts, we're talking like 2021. Wilson Fisk is no longer the Kingpin. He is I don't know if you would call him like he's good again. But
Sure.
He's got another established role in the city of New York because for years and decades he's been trying to
take over.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Luke Cage is mayor of New York. Or Hell's Kitchen. I don't remember which one. Both. But that version of Thunderbolts has Hawkeye at the helm with America and a few other members.
That's
So,
interesting.
very interesting. But all of these characters and all of these teams are slowly but surely becoming known names in the film spectrum. So it's kind of like, it's a
Look at
wild
them.
card. You
Look at them.
don't know where it's gonna go. And so, from there, we're going to bounce over to notable adversaries. And of course, like we were just discussing with her mothers, the big baddie, when it came down to Utopian Parallel, The Island,
Yeah.
and what is apparently the actual true origin story for America, it was all part of this guy named Mr. Gales' idea. So Mr. Gales, he's a older white-haired gentleman,
Of course.
mustache. He almost looks like Thunderbolt Ross, but he doesn't bark as much.
Got it.
And he was more or less a billionaire with a private island named Utopian Parallel. And so the island's facilities harbored many girls with latent abilities, and he called them starlings. And so they were basically, they were treating the Aegis syndrome. Once the Aegis syndrome was more or less cured, the latent abilities would either manifest or they would just not turn into anything. They would just be normal people again without this debilitating, de-aging, whatever.
Yeah.
And so the weird thing is that they would tattoo the girls with stars on their inner wrists.
Okay. Stranger Things.
Lots of stars. I know, right? 001, 003, 13. So yeah, there was something about the stars. I don't know if I had missed something, but yeah, that was a common thing. And so America in her modern age also had the stars on her wrists on the inside.
Do we ever see her wrist?
No,
we
not
don't.
in the film. She's wearing that long jacket the entire time.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know if she pulled her sleeves up.
Oh yeah.
But I don't remember. I
Yeah.
don't recall seeing anything. But yeah, so he Mr. Gales referred to all these girls as starlings, and again, Amalia died destroying the island's portal, while Elena. So there's this portal, yeah, that Gales essentially wanted to use the ones that manifest powers, and he wanted to travel the multiverse and do the bad thing, and so Amalia blew that up. Elena then got shot in the heart by Gales, and then he held Catalina, detained her, claimed her as his own, while America got away, and she had that PTSD we talked about, which is really sad. So he too has no MCU counterpart. He's just a bad guy. I don't know if they're going to introduce him. That would, I think, for the MCU, it doesn't quite make sense unless they want to take on multiverse on a smaller level, because in a world where Kang exists, it's kind of like, why would they ever introduce somebody who just wanted to, I don't know.
Yeah.
You just never know. I don't think they'll do it, but we might see some version of it. Some other adversaries, of course, though. America, again, has no identifiable main adversary, but she has squared up against the following, which I think is going to you're going to be surprised by this. She's strong in the comics. Let me just say, she's gone up against Satana Hellstrom, Madame Mask, Exterminatrix. I think we talked about her once or twice.
Briefly.
And she almost killed America, actually. But she's also gone against Morgan Le Fay, MODOK,
Whoa.
Thanos, and Galactus.
Wow.
And still came out on the other side.
Wow.
She's she's like straight up punched Thanos in the face. Like, she's done this.
Maybe she shows up in Ant-Man, bro.
No, right?
Maybe
I was like,
maybe we just catch her just like traversing, and we're like, she's like,
got to
"Who are
be
you?"
in there
Like,
somewhere.
and
She's
then bang, bang. You know?
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, she's pretty dang powerful in the comics. And so when it comes to the MCU, she doesn't have any actual adversaries except for Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, portrayed by Geoffrey's wife, Elizabeth Olsen, who we last saw in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, I mean, like, how do we... The fact, I remember, I don't know if this happened to you when you saw the film, but I remember very, very distinctly... the one that we went to. Very distinctly, when Wanda makes that huge mistake of mentioning her
America's name, yes.
And you just hear people go, ooh!
Yeah, I said the same thing too. In my head, I was just like,
Huh?
I was like, he never mentioned
Yeah.
her name.
Yeah.
And then Strange said that. When Strange is like,
yeah. Yeah, you see the utter disappointment, and he's
Yeah.
also like preparing himself for like
and then Wanda was like,
yeah,
you never said her name, did you?
Yeah.
And he was like, no.
yeah. It's like
And then she's like, is it? Oh no, her line, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I was gonna be like the hardest part wasn't the city. It was whatever it was, and I was just like, "Oh, this girl is dark. I love her."
Yeah, so their whole dynamic is also very interesting because it's like, yeah, she's the big baddie that America is like thrust into going against, even despite like all the other people that she encounters in the multiverse.
Yeah,
it's all because of Wanda. So it's like, holy smokes, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thought if they ever bring, let me just say if and when they bring Wanda back. What kind of impact is that going to make on America as a character?
Yeah.
Furthermore, from that point on, like, and is she going to be bad? Maybe she's going to be good again. Who knows? We don't know.
There's just so many different, I'm not going to say plot holes, but just there's still different holes to fill.
Yeah.
You know, is that the same thing as a plot hole? But it's just like, it's still there, but
yeah,
you hope it gets filled at some point, you know? And I think it's unfortunate that they can't answer all these questions right away, because I think that's what the people want.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all want it.
Yep.
But yeah, how do you balance telling these new stories, but also tying up these old stories?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So in an interesting balance of topics, we're going to jump into love interest now.
Ooh.
So a big component of America Chavez in the comic books is that she is not only the first Latina at the forefront of a comic book title.
Yes.
She is also the first very open LGBTQIA representing member of the Marvel Pride family.
Hell yeah.
So heck yeah, to that, and you know, the representation on all notes is very important, both in the comics as well as the MCU, which I think Sochi like really embraces. Like, she's not afraid of that at all.
Yeah.
She's like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, this is what the character is. This is what she's about. This is who she is, and this is who she's gonna be. And so, and in the books, she does have a moment where she experiments, quote unquote,
Sure.
with who we mentioned in the top of the show, Ultimate Nullifier, who's introduced with her in this first issue. But, like they're on this team called the Teen Brigade together, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a brigade of teens on a team together. And it's interesting because the way that Magneto comes into the fold is that there are a couple mutants on the team, and there's this one character from, I believe she started coming up in the late 90s, early aughts. Her name was Stacy X.
Okay.
And her power was to like touch people, and then it's like they're taking drugs. Like, like they're on like, I don't know drugs, so I don't know what names.
Sure. I mean, we're in the
they're
same
like
boat.
on ecstasy, for instance.
Got it.
She touches them and they have that euphoric, like whatever the after effects are.
Wow.
And so anyway, Magneto like comes on the scene and he's like, you guys are a poor excuse for mutants. And like stuff goes down. But America herself is on another mission, which I do have the page up here, but I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, so more or less her time with Ultimate Nullifier, whose name we don't really know. His name is apparently Maine, spelled with a Y-N-E.
Okay.
No last name. They quote unquote had an experimental period. Enough said. And then from there, this is where we actually see America get into more involved, meaningful relationships. Most importantly, what seems to be her primary one, which is with a woman named Ramon Watts. And so Ramon herself, she and Ultimate Nullifier don't have MCU counterparts yet, but Ramon hails from Wakandan origins. So her mother, Zobaye, which I don't remember, I should have looked this up, but I don't remember if she's actually in the film. But Zobaye was a member of the Dora Milaje.
Oh.
So Ramon is the daughter of Zobaye, and Ramon is America's girlfriend. And so she is from Venice, California, a far cry from Wakanda.
Wow.
And she runs a surf shop, and she rented office space to Kate Bishop when she took a turn as running a Hawkeye investigations office. So
Whoa.
we haven't yet covered Kate Bishop on her own, which I'm sure we will get to eventually.
We definitely will.
But I think we very briefly mentioned her in the Jessica Jones episode, in that there is a moment in the comics where Kate full on turns into a PI.
Oh.
And she takes to the West Coast, which is, that's how she becomes part of the West Coast Avengers.
Yes.
And that's how she and America meet.
Wow.
Yes. And so yeah, we have yet to see Ramon and Ultimate Nullifier, but of course, Kate Bishop didn't leave her in the friends and family. I pulled her down to love interest because, and I will say, America and Kate have notoriously flirted in the comics.
Nice.
To the point where readers are literally like, wait, so is this happening? Like, it's like the She-Hulk scene. I was like, are you guys feeling this? Because I'm feeling this. Yeah. It's a lot of that. If you I'm going to say this. If you Tumblr search Kate, Kate in America.
Wow.
It's like that.
I mean, they are really good friends in real life.
That's true, right?
Yeah,
they are
really good friends.
I don't know.
But also, she's 26.
Yeah, she's got some age on her.
She's 10 years older than her.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
So while they have these moments in the comics, and they never quite have an official like romance.
Yes.
It's always skirting the line of like, they're flirting, but they're never together. But they're best friends, so that's cool. So maybe that's where they might head in the MCU. Kate Bishop, of course, portrayed by Jeffrey's other wife, Haley Steinfeld.
Sorry.
And my Gwen Stacy. Last seen in the Hawkeye series. And so despite Haley and Sochi actually hanging out, there's no current knowledge or connection to America in the MCU. And there is that underlying thing of like, there's a vast age difference. So unfortunately, because of this, when the casting happened and the film came out, a lot of people in the LGBTQIA community were kind of upset
Really?
because that more or less negated the possibility of the two of them having an on-screen romance.
I guess. I mean,
Because
sure,
the age
but it's
difference
like,
is like wild.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is wild. But it's like, I mean, if it doesn't work in in the MCU, it doesn't.
Yeah, well, and they can give America an equally awesome girlfriend.
Yeah.
Regardless
I mean,
of
they
Kate
change
Bishop.
stuff in the movies all the time. So
Yeah,
as long as it's
exactly.
it just makes sense. It's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, no Kate Bishop romance either way you slice it. We'll see if these two cross paths further down the line. And so now that we have all that out of the way, let's go to less complex things like powers and paraphernalia.
Oh gosh.
America, she's very much like many characters we've discussed. What you see is what you get. She's got the ability to channel interdimensional energies through her body. And in the comics, she has self-propelled flight, superhuman speed, strength, longevity, and invulnerability. The star portal creation, so it's interdimensional and time travel. In the comics, she can time travel. Time travel. That's a huge difference from what we know about the MCU.
Yeah.
Because all we know is that she can go different dimensions.
Yes.
But if we're talking time travel,
on top of that. Jeez.
yeah, because again,
It's dangerous.
Strange even says in No Way Home, he's like, I don't have the time stone anymore, kid. I can't go back in time.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah, it's gone. So
It's gone.
it's gone.
Yes, I was sorry. I was backtracking hard.
Yeah,
I was
watched
like,
that
wait,
real
he lost
time.
it. I know he lost it twice, but I was like, wait, where did he lose it?
I could almost see like the film in your eyes,
I just remember now. It gets destroyed, obviously, when
Yes.
the second snap.
Yes.
I use the stones to destroy the stone. So
Yes.
that's boom.
It's
and I was like,
gone.
okay.
It's
But then
gone.
wait, Steve, and then Steve returned the stone, and I was like,
Yeah.
there it is.
It's gone. So if in fact she has more powers that manifest the next time we see America, time travel could be part of that. So not only will she be able to interdimensional travel, she will be able to time travel.
She's OP, dude.
Right?
Holy crap.
Yeah. So on top of all that, she has energy infusion and hypercosmic awareness,
What does that mean?
metaphysical insight.
You can like see visions of other
Yes.
universes?
Bizarre.
Is that like what Strange could do when he was doing the whole 4
I
million
think
600?
so.
Like,
I think that's the closest example to it, is that she not necessarily can see into the future, but if she has an idea in her head and she's like, I want to go to Comatage, I'm going to open a portal and I'm going to go boom, and then she's going to be at Comatage. Versus before, she didn't really know how to, she just kind of
Yes.
landed wherever she
Yes.
landed. And we don't really see her manifest the ability to even foresee where she's going until she brings Wanda back. That's the first time we see it.
yeah.
So she might have that as well.
This is what I meant earlier at the top of the show, and I was like, do people not realize like she's
so important.
Like
Yeah.
she's the only person that can do what she does.
Yes.
'Cause I think I think either we're talking about this like off camera
Mm-hmm.
or off mic, or we said this in an episode. I was just like, there can be another Captain America. There can be another Iron Man.
Yeah.
There can't be another America Chavez.
Nope.
Because you can't make that.
Yeah.
You can't make that in a lab.
Yep.
You can't be born with it.
Yep.
She's literally the only person of her kind that can
Yeah.
traverse the multiverse.
Yeah.
And then if she can time travel,
Yep.
she's basically a MacGuffin, like, to the MCU or whoever's, So
Yep.
gross.
Yeah.
She's very important.
Yeah.
She does. I think she has to have at least a solo project.
I think they're underplaying it on purpose.
Maybe.
I think they are. I really
Maybe.
do think they are. And yeah, we at the moment have no idea where this kid's going to show up next.
Yeah.
And I think that plays into the character story,
Yeah.
because there's all these elements of surprise.
Yeah, 'cause
all of these options that they could possibly give her.
Yeah. She can literally pop up anywhere.
Yeah.
She can.
And it would make sense.
I mean, she's
which
like,
is the nuttiest part.
she's like Deadpool. She can pop up anywhere.
Can you imagine? Yeah. So we'll see if she manifests any of these other powers. But I honestly think they're downplaying her, and they've left all of these key traits out on purpose.
Is this like, I'm like thinking like, is it, you know when people ask like, what superpower do you want?
Right.
If you were a
Is this the
superhero.
power you would
and I'm
want?
like, damn, this is kind of like a sick power, but it's
Right.
also like, it could be a lonely one.
Yeah.
Like as they show in the movie.
I immediately get the vibe she's absolutely lonely.
Like
Immediately.
you get that in the movie. She's like,
Yeah.
how many universes have you been to? She's
Yeah.
like, what was the number? It's like 37 or something.
Yeah.
And that's a lot
Yeah.
out of the infinite ones that there are. I was like, I can't find a
Yeah.
home because my home,
Yeah.
I
she
sent
has
them
no
out.
home. Yeah. Yeah. She's
So,
just a straggler.
it's probably the most useful friggin' power, but it's probably the most loneliest one.
To what
it's
end?
it's like having like the thing of like, do you want to live forever?
Yeah.
Like, do you want to never get old? And it's like everyone always says, I wish I was this age, da 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 da.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, you'll live forever.
Yeah,
But then all your friends and family are
Yeah.
gonna pass already, and then
Exactly.
it's like, what are you gonna do now?
Right.
You're gonna be 35 forever.
Yeah, there's a Twilight Zone episode about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, are you gonna be? Do you want to be 35 forever? And it's like, damn.
I think they even say it in Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think Lestat, when he's like bartering with Louis, not the show, but the movie.
Yeah.
And in the book, like, more immortality isn't easy. You see,
like,
you
it's-
see people die.
It's not as good. It's not as
Yeah.
cool as you think.
Exactly. You have to live throughout all these ages. But yeah, and similarly with America, yeah, I feel like she traverses the multiverse because she's looking for some semblance of home. And in her case, home might be where her mothers are. So it's not necessarily a place, it's people.
Yeah.
And so she just keeps jumping, and it's like, oh yeah, she's
Cool.
lonely. Yeah, but she's lonely. It's so sad. And she's just a baby.
Yeah.
You know what isn't a baby though is how she first appeared in the comics, because her aesthetic is very different.
Really?
At least it was in the very, very, very beginning. And so, like I mentioned, she's a little older in the comics. So with that sort of age range, she's presented much differently. So I'm going to show this to you. This is literally her first, facing panel. Scandy.
Oh my gosh.
So this is 18 years. I know.
Why?
It's the comic book artwork.
Gosh.
Even the posing, I'm just like, ay. So she's introduced very scantily clad in her garb, slightly in her garb, but definitely more in her posing. But yeah, like America in general is all about the red, white, and blue. But lest we forget, the American and Puerto Rican flags are very much the same. So it's interesting, right? It's an interesting thought that people, I think, immediately associated America. Oh, red, white, and blue. Oh, stars, stripes. Great. Oh, America. And it's like, no, her name is America, but she's representing the Puerto Rican flag.
Chavez.
Chavez. Exactly.
Chavez.
Chavez. Guys, Chavez.
Come on.
Yeah. Put it together. Yeah. So she wears those colors practically in everything. So even if she's not wearing a quote unquote uniform, she's in red, white, and blue in some way.
That jean jacket is fire. I love that jean jacket.
Surprised they don't have a version of it yet.
I should just make one.
You should just make it.
I know.
It'd be dope. Yeah, so the big 3 color palette, stars and stripes, surprisingly tasteful most of the time. And even similar to the original Miss America's outfit, her chest symbol, Miss America had this little emblem that looked like what America has worn on her bodice, I guess, where it's got some stars and then it's blue and then the stripes go down vertically. But Miss America's looked like the Timely Comics shield. So once upon a time, Cap had that sharp shield.
Yes.
Remember? And then they retconned it because it looked like a DC character shield.
Yes.
Something
I remember
like
that
that, yeah.
vaguely. Yes.
And so before Timely Comics became Marvel Comics, they had a very specific logo and it looked like Miss America's emblem, which then kind of almost got absorbed into America's outfits. But again, they say it's not related and they're not related, but they do have a lot in common. So I don't know. I object. I think they do have a lot of similarities, but unintentionally, like maybe, we'll see. But yeah, she's very much Puerto Rican flag. Miss America was obviously Miss America. So I think they have some similarities, but she's always got that look to her, which is pretty cool. And so the MCU version is quite similar to the comic book version. They clearly made her a little more demure because of her age, so she's not as scandy as this version.
Yeah, thank God.
She doesn't have cleavage, and she's not showing her midsection.
You don't need that.
Yeah, she's not in booty shorts, thankfully. Yeah, no, she's jeans, t-shirt, jacket, kaboom. And of course, in the MCU, the nice little nuance they added was the pride flag pin for her mother's, as well as get to be determined interests of her own. So that's pretty awesome. More representation where we need it. And then from there, I mean, there's not much more to discuss as far as her aesthetic goes, but in other versions and other media, this character is actually, she's featured in a lot. I feel like maybe people don't realize this. So she was not only in a number of multimedia, but she was a main player in the Marvel Rising series. It was the Secret Warriors season. And she was voiced by Sierra Ramirez. Her origin story in that series was interesting because her home dimension was attacked by the Kree. And you know the Kree.
Yeah.
So it's like Ronan the Accuser and the blue folks. So that's how things went down there. And then she was teleported by her mothers for her safety before they were killed by Hala, the Accuser.
Whoa.
So Hala is another primary Kree character. I believe Hala was in the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale game. So they really pulled in some space elements for that cartoon. While in the video game spectrum, she's in quite a few. She's in 6 to date.
Wow.
Yeah, including Lego Marvel's Avengers Academy. I missed that game. That was a cute game. It was a mobile game, and they're all younger versions of themselves.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know. I've never played Sims, but I would imagine it's kind of like Sims.
I barely played it.
Yeah, they're just all doing their own thing, and then you're tapping on a character, and they're having dialogue, whatever. Marvel Future Fight, which is currently out. Marvel Puzzle Quest still out. Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. Which is a great game as well. Marvel Strike Force and Marvel Contest of Champions, which was pretty much Marvel's game of the year like 2 years ago, I think. Now they've moved on to Marvel Snap, which is kind of like a card game. I'm kind of obsessed with it now, actually. It's really cool. I've never played a card game before, but America's on the splash image. So she's very prominent in that too. And that brings us to the future of the character in the MCU. I mean, we've talked about this.
Talked about it.
This is an entire episode. So but what is your bet? Where do you definitively think we're going to see her next?
She deserves to be. She deserves the Wong treatment.
Yeah.
And she needs to be in as many projects as possible
I agree.
that relates to, her powers.
Yeah.
So whether it's because she doesn't just deserve like a solo movie.
Yeah.
Like that's not gonna, because she's such a pivotal part in this. I think she's a pivotal part in this multiverse saga that they're doing.
Yeah.
And her powers are literally multiversal.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's her and Kang, pretty,
Yeah.
like her and then Ant-Man with the quantum and stuff. But
Yeah. Do you have a realistic prediction?
I want to have one, but I feel like she just needs to. Like I want all of it for her. I want her to have a movie. I want her to have a show.
Yeah.
I just feel like a movie just so it works better amongst all the other projects. But I don't think she would. I don't know if they would do a solo movie.
Yeah.
For her just because of how it is. Not because like she's a bad character or a bad actor. It's just the whole like, can it sell? Can it open?
Yeah.
Da 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 da. Can we open with just Xochitl Gomez as the titular character. And it's like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, yeah, you can, but the world might not think that.
No.
It sucks.
I think they could get away with a series
Series, or just have her just
or a special presentation.
yeah, or just have her come up prominently in just so many
Yeah.
different projects.
Yeah.
You know, like the way people love Wong and come in and
Yeah.
everything. The way even with Hulk,
Yeah.
you know, with Banner just
Yeah.
coming up,
Yeah.
how we did. Just
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I don't know. I can't give because I want her to pop up in as many as she can.
I will say though, I do think that there's a good chance we will see her in Ant-Man, just by association. But that's I don't know. I feel like
I mean, she's been working.
yeah,
She's been working.
yeah. So yeah, that's the aside Ant-Man. If not Ant-Man, I might put my money on Marvels.
I was thinking that too. I don't know how or what because I don't know the
Yeah.
story. We don't know the story,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
that would also make sense because as
and
we
then
saw at the end of Miss Marvel,
Yeah.
there was some sort of
yeah.
switcheroo thing
Yeah.
going on. Like, was it time based?
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know.
And that gives us an opportunity to see her and her dynamic with Iman Vellani as Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be a pretty cool turnout, to be honest. But that still seems so far away. It's like,
I
oh, we
know.
haven't seen her since December. And it's like, well, that's actually not that long ago. It's barely a year. So,
Wow, it has
which
been.
is also kind of wild to think about. It's been a year since we've last seen this character.
holy.
And who knows when we'll see her again. It could be next month or the next 2 months, or it could be next summer. In the soonest.
Crazy.
And then there's Almost Was. So this is, I was kind of surprised. I couldn't find any notable mentions, but apparently thousands of young girls auditioned for this role. Sochi has also been quoted saying it was months between her initial audition submission. So I guess they did the thing where they're like, here's a role you can audition for. Send in your video.
They still do that. Marvel still does that, all right?
That's so
Like-
funny. I'm like, dude, how do we get in on this? So she submitted her audition and then didn't hear back, I think, for 3 to 6 months. So she thought, didn't happen. But then she got tapped again. And then her, I don't know if you know the story, but she had an on-set screen test with Benedict Cumberbatch in Doctor Strange's outfit.
Dang.
I mean, this is like pandemic, right? Like
Yeah.
this is during pandemic. So it kind of makes sense. So yes, so she was flown to London, I guess.
Yes.
Is the story. And then they brought her on to screen test with him. And they're like, nope, you got the job. And then she started working
Wow.
almost immediately.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Good for her.
she was hired days later and the rest is history.
Hell yeah.
And so that steers us into the final segment, which is suggested reading. And so, like I mentioned, I've only read so much of this character, but I do have enough to kind of mention some what I feel are notables, including West Coast Avengers, published in August 2018 from Kelly Thompson and artists Stefano Caselli and Triona Farrell. This is some good old double Hawkeye fun. So both Hawkeyes are in it, with a pinch of a character named Fuse, as well as America Chavez and Gwenpool of all characters. So she's in it too, which means Geoffrey the Land Shark is there somewhere, which I love. Marvel voices Infinity Comic number 8 specifically, but there are a number of these with America in them. Go check them out. This one was published in July 2022 from writer Anthony Oliveira and artists Genthro Morales and Yen Nitro. This is where we learned of the retconned origin story. And so the Voices title itself also tends to focus on diversity and inclusion of Marvel's character spectrum. So definitely check those out. America Chavez, Made in the USA, published in March 2021 from writer Kalinda Vasquez and artists Carlos Gomez and Jesus Orbitov. That's kind of where you get the vibe of the retcon, as well as a lot of Catalina and the origin story that happens there. And then Thunderbolts, published in August 2022. That was just last summer,
Wow.
guys. From writer Jim Zub and various artists. So this is a new version of the familiar team namesake. And so, like I mentioned, this version of the Thunderbolts had Hawkeye, Spectrum, America Chavez, Power Man, Persuasion, and Guts and Glory. It is a name. So it's like Icarus. It's Guts and Glory.
Oh, jeez.
You can't even blame that one on the 70s. And so, yeah, like I mentioned, they're unified by former Kingpin Wilson Fisk and the Thunder. They call them the Thunder, by the way.
The Thunder?
The Thunder.
Go ahead.
They're bringing the thunder. It's so dumb. And they're doing their damnedest to protect Mayor Luke Cage's New York streets. So with that, that's the end of the show.
What?
Yes. Thanks for listening, guys.
Wow.
Next episode. So technically, this is the end of season quote unquote 2, aka 2022. And so, like last year, we'll end the year with a Marvel mashup of all of our goofy, funny, memorable moments. So if you have anything in particular you loved most from this last year, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll get her included. And as always, a We Are Groot salute to Claire, Laura, Melanie, Ed, Andrea, Katie, Jenny, Robin, Andrew, Ashley, Joe, Liz, Ariel, the Arachnerd, Tyler, and Nats.
Woo!
Follow us on social at STRKCNTRST. And if you like what you hear, review, rate, and subscribe.
And since this is our last one, because the last one before the end of the year is just a mashup, we will see you guys
in the new year.
next year.
Weird.
Thanks for listening to us.
Thanks.
And we continue to do this for you guys.
Yes. Thank you.
See y'all.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Steven? I'm glad I fell into your universe.
So am I, kid. So am I.